romance is idealism. Romance is a high state of humanity. I think that romance, true romance that's founded on true love is extremely close to God. Being very comfortable with himself, being very connected to his sensuality without pushing it, just because he embodies it. And that is sexy to me. You know, I don't do well with the kind of like playing it sexy. It's like, what are you doing? But if somebody can sit and hold my gaze and have a conversation with me and not let me off the hook without a whole bunch of antics, you know, it can be fairly breathtaking.
Because you were Roz and Eve's Bayou.
Yes.
You were Victoria in Medea's Family Reunion.
Yes.
You were Lady May in Greenleaf.
Yeah.
You were the legendary Josephine Baker.
Hey friend, welcome to my channel, karinealourde. I'm karinealourde. Please be sure to like, subscribe. Please be sure to turn on your notification bell so you can always know when I post a new upload. Now let's get into this video. Today we are talking about the iconic Lynn Whitfield. I love her because she always plays the evil mom in some Tyler Perry movie or a movie. But before then, she was very well known for her rendition of Josephine Baker. I don't think anybody else could play Josephine Baker after that performance. She literally embodied her. And then my favorite movie from her is The Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence. Like, you guys comment below your favorite Auntie Lynn Whitfield moment. I also love her in Greenleaf on Netflix. So she's a woman who many have admired for decades, a woman who embodies such grace and elegance. She reminds me of Diahann Carroll. If you haven't seen my Diahann Carroll breakdown, go check that out as well, because it's like the elegance, the grace, the glamour. She just exudes it. And she also exudes strength in everything she does. Lynn Whitfield is truly considered an esteemed icon in film and television, breaking barriers for women of color in Hollywood for over 30 years now. Trailblazing her way to the crest of the entertainment industry, Whitfield's work speaks for itself. While she has been a public figure her entire life, there's probably a lot you didn't know about her. Other than that, she loves a good coat and colorful hats, and she's a very interesting monarch and has been a role model worldwide for good reason. So Lynn Whitfield is iconic. She began her acting career in television and theater before progressing to supporting roles in film. She won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie and received a Golden Globe Award nomination for her breakout performance as Josephine Baker in the HBO biographical film The Josephine Baker Story that was released in 1991.
There's a brand new song I learned down in Havana, Cuba called Esto es Felicidad. Would you like to hear it?
Josephine? I guess we're a long way from Paris, girl.
I'm tired. I'm through. I'm all used up. I can't do it anymore.
Go on, wear your crown, Josie.
I'm a little jazz bow, looking for the rainbow.
I had my two loves, my country when it let me love it, and Paris all the time. It seemed no sooner had I got back from America than Hitler was marching across Europe. I stayed to lend my strength to France. I joined the resistance and carried secrets for the underground. And the war came to this very house.
Setzen Sie sich. Setzen Sie dich.
The resistance ordered me to North Africa.
Josephine Baker.
Look, it's Josephine Baker.
Tú me quieres, yo te quiero, tú me adoras, yo te adoro, me besas, te beso, me miras, te miro, esto es felicidad.
So Lynn Whitfield was born on February 15th, 1953, and Whitfield was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now we're going to talk about Baton Rouge because she loved her some Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She was the daughter of Gene Butler, a former president of the Louisiana Housing Finance Agency, and Dr. Valerian Smith, who was also a composer who wrote the musical The Supper and The Wake. So she speaks of her neighborhood because it played such a big role in her upbringing. She stated, and this is a direct quote, Everybody in Baton Rouge knows who your mother is, your grandmother is. There was a real sense of care and community, and that was really something that I miss to this day. In fact, I don't think I was as social as I was when I was growing up in Baton Rouge. Her family had quite a bit of influence in her town. Lynn's grandfather, Dr. Leo S. Butler, was one of Louisiana's first Black high school graduates and one of the first Black doctors in Baton Rouge. Her mother, Jean, is a founding member of the Baton Rouge chapter of the Lynx Incorporated and is a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. They were living examples of Black excellence for Lynn and her siblings. She is the eldest of 4 children and a third-generation BFA graduate from Howard University. Both parents were instrumental in developing Whitfield's initial interest in acting, as they were actively involved in the Baton Rouge art scene.
Grew up in a household, Sorlin, where both parents were professionals. Your mother, I believe, was with the finance agency.
Yeah, the Louisiana Housing and Finance Agency.
Okay.
So she helped people who never would have been able to afford to own a home, own one. My father, who wrote music as well, he was a dentist, but he wrote music and had something called the Baton Rouge Community Chorus. So I was always seeing productions and things going on stage.
Her love of movies was shared by her maternal grandmother, Estelle Deval Butler, who exposed her to them. And by the age of 5, Whitfield decided she wanted to be in them. She said, and I quote, "In my family, there was definitely a sense of being high achievers, good work ethic, and also a sense of responsibility and a sense that service was important. Sometimes it's a lonely business out there, but when I know that my hometown people of Baton Rouge will love me and support me and be there through the good and the bad, and I can't tell you how much you've given me all these years, and I appreciate it." Comment below if you're from Baton Rouge, because wow. Show your Baton Rouge, Louisiana pride in the comment section. So following graduation, she first garnered attention on the stage by performing with the Black Repertory Company in Washington, D.C. She married playwright, director, and actor Ventil Whitfield, one of the company's co-founders and a pioneer of Black theater in 1974. She eventually moved to New York and appeared off-Broadway in such shows as The Great Daddy and Showdown, time before earning international acclaim, touring the United States, Australia, and London, West End in the 1977 production of the landmark play for colored girls who have considered taking their own lives, When the Rainbow is Enough, alongside Alfre Woodard. So Whitfield achieved wide recognition in the title role of the Josephine Baker story, portraying the American who became a Folies star, French resistance fighter during World War II. And I did a breakdown for Josephine Baker already, and I always titled her the most interesting woman in the world because Josephine she lived her life. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. The HBO biopic required her to age from 18 to 68 in the Josephine Baker story, and she did it gracefully. And after a highly publicized casting call, Whitfield was chosen over hundreds of women. In the movie, she appeared bare on screen. In his review, Ken Tucker of Entertainment Weekly said, "Whitfield is exceptionally good as a legendary singer-dancer who came to prominence in the 20s for her throaty singing and her notorious banana dance, a wiggly little number executed while wearing nothing except a skirt of real bananas." The New York Times added that Whitfield powerfully captures her Baker's passionate determination, and Whitfield won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Miniseries or a Movie for her role, and said that this gave her the greatest sense of accomplishment and realization of my vision. If absolutely called upon everything I thought I could do at that point. She also received a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Miniseries or Television Film nomination, and won the NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Actress in a Television Movie, Miniseries, or Dramatic Special. In 1996, Whitfield was cast as a female lead opposite Martin Lawrence in a dark romantic comedy film, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. At the time of filming, Lawrence was 12 years younger than Whitfield, who was then 42. I know, and she looked good. The film grossed over $35 million against a budget of only $8 million. And in 1997, she co-starred opposite Danny Glover and Rosanna Arquette in the comedy film Gone Fishing, appeared in the supporting role in the Canadian drama The Planet of Junior Brown, and played the mother of Janae Smollett's title character in a critically acclaimed independent drama, Eve's Bayou. And in 1998, Whitfield had supporting role of an oncologist in a comedy drama film, Stepmom. When asked about her roles playing the mean mom, etc., because she also played in a lot of Tyler Perry movies as a step. I'm telling you, this lady could make you hate her on screen if our characters. This is so believable. You hate her but love her at the same time with the character, you know? But she was quoted with saying, "I like all my ladies," referring to her characters. I think that through sharing a character's humanity, through their life circumstances, it can be cautionary, aspirational, or inspirational. What I set out to do is to create an honest, clear character, understanding for me that human beings aren't simplistic. I always try to present a dimensional human being, she said. I do want to add a couple fun facts, and with new segment on these documentaries where we really understand the person that we're talking about, their beliefs and understanding their political beliefs, their faith, as well as other associations and things and their influence on culture and art and their perspective areas or fields, whether politicians that we're covering or scientists or whatever. With Lynn Whitfield, she is part of the AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha, and her mother was one, as well as the women she was surrounded by, she was grown up with. So she was initiated into it way after her college in her later years, and she explained why, because, she understood that it would take a lot of her time, but she is affiliated with the AKA.
I mentioned before you came out that you have family history and heritage at Howard University, which is who was started in 1908? Alpha Kappa Alpha. For us in the sorority, that means we are an organization that's 107 years old. Mm-hmm. Legacy, perpetuity, that's really important to us. You're an honorary member of our great sisterhood, and you exemplify the high standards and commitment to excellence that we stand for. Your mother was initiated into the Alpha chapter at Howard University. Also, audience, she has lots of aunts and other family members that are members of the sorority. So she has a long lineage in Alpha Kappa.
I had knowledge of the AKAs from a little girl. My grandmother's house and my mother's house and two of my aunts would have the, meetings at their home. And everything was pink and green. And if there was a local event, I was handing out the program. I understood, if you do it well, how demanding this organization is. As I move forward, look forward to being more involved as the organization moves into its new page of service. Right. I feel like I'm entering a new phase of being a soror.
Now, in terms of her political beliefs, she is a Democrat, and she also campaigned for Obama for both consecutive terms. She went and traveled all around the United States campaigning for him, and she spoke about her experience doing that, where she, in Ohio, where she saw a lot of Confederate flags, and there was a lot of, YouTube, I have to filter words, but people that didn't like minorities there, that though she was terrified, she still went on and campaigned in those areas and got to learn a lot, because she said, though she knew a lot about America, there's a lot you don't know. America's really, really huge country, right? Different states. We have states that are the size of countries and states that are bigger than countries, and we have 50 of them. So it's a very big country. And for her, she was like, there's just a lot she didn't know about the cornfields, the potato fields, and how every state have their own culture and every state have their own dialect, and the people think different, their ideologies, what they like, etc. Every state is unique. So that was a cool experience for her.
When President Obama ran for re-election in 2012, your presence was greatly felt on the campaign trail. You provided support for him as well by encouraging others to vote.
It was both campaigns. The first one, I begged to be a part of it after the convention, and it took them about 3 weeks to vet. They included me in the second campaign as well. For me, it was extremely meaningful. I got to travel the middle of this country. I got to be in barbershops and beauty shops and churches and all of that, and go into the churches and actually see the stuff that Americans are made of. All of the struggles that so many Americans have. I didn't know really how important healthcare was and what was happening in education. Did not know that in the middle of Ohio, they had Confederate flags on roofs and farmland. I didn't know. It scared me to death. Anyway, it's changed me forever, because I can no longer just go and
and act.
She is still a known Democrat and still try to support the movement as much as possible. We do want to talk a little bit about her faith with her husband, because her husband, the divorce with him actually led her to strengthen her relationship with God and find God. So we do know, as she stated, she's married director of the Josephine Baker movie, They Fell in Love. And she stated that she did not want to sleep with him while he was directing her because she wanted to keep her power, and she didn't want to be accused of, the typical, you go sleep with the director and then he's white at that, so it looked like you're social climbing and you're looking for a come up. So she didn't want to be, attached to that. So she avoided sleeping with him while the movie was filming. But of course, right after, she was like, yeah, if, we're going to do this, we're going to get married. One thing, because he was white, she did face a lot of backlash. Essence, she said that Essence didn't give her the cover for the Josephine Baker movie, which was a huge deal at the time, most likely because of the scandal of it all within the Black community, because interracial marriage, she came from the era where it was still very much taboo, and people on both sides, whether white or Black, were not really open to it. So she received a lot of backlash, but she stated to the brothers, like, I was always around. None of the brothers was interested in me. I was here. Y'all didn't care. So why y'all didn't speak to me or hit me up, So she said, well, your loss. And she moved on to where, she felt she was celebrated. But
Some people were upset that I ended up falling in love, and he fell in love with me, the man who directed me in the Josephine Baker story. And I didn't really think about the fact that this isn't an English guy, because he was so anti-class and all that. He said in a People magazine, my wife is more well-born than I. I did not have intimacy with him during the shooting when I fell in, because I could not give away my power to channel this woman when I was trying to give honor to one of our icons. And I think that's why we got married so quickly. People did get upset. Maybe that's why I didn't get a cover of S for Josephine Baker. I don't know. And I think some brothers were kind of upset, but I was like, well, honestly, I have been around here free. Now, where were you to step in and make me an offer I couldn't refuse? And I've taught my daughter not only Black woman culture, but Black Louisiana woman culture. And I'm very proud to be a Louisiana woman. But as far as the brothers, I just want them to know, if they were ever upset about it, a woman of a certain age, I am single, I'm hard to please in many areas of my life. So if my next partner happens to be some European man or something, then they're going to be talking about me.
Now, she did say after their divorce, because they did unfortunately end up divorcing years later, she never provided much reason into her personal. She's a very classy lady, so she didn't go too deep into the details of the cause for their divorce. But she did state that, the divorce brought her closer to God, to seek God, because her husband was a Buddhist, especially at the time before she got pregnant. She has one daughter. And let me just say, I really like her relationship with her daughter. She calls her daughter her best friend. She only has one child. Her daughter is very beautiful. She's also into music and singing and composing, etc. And she calls her daughter her best friend. They went on a recent trip to Africa, South Africa. She was just lighting up. She lights up every time she talks about her daughter, etc.
You just got back from South Africa.
Yes.
So how was that, Lynn? There's some kind of magnetic field in that country that just ground you. I see why they wanted to steal it.
Oh, my.
But you can't steal what God owns, right?
That's right, Mama.
With my daughter, we went there. We had such an amazing time, something we always wanted to do, and we got to do it.
But nonetheless, before her daughter came into this world, her husband was a Buddhist who was into chanting and, the rituals and, seeing spirits, etc. So he was really into that life, that spiritualism type of life. And she was pretty open-minded at the time, because she said she didn't really have a relationship with God, or didn't have faith and didn't believe that there was a God that could have her back, etc. So she was pretty open. Though she called herself a Christian, she wasn't really like a living practicing the beliefs. She just, that's what you grow up knowing, but you didn't have your own personal relationship with God. So how she found out she was even pregnant was from her husband doing one of those, rituals, chanting, and came down and was like, there's a little spirit that's coming, let her in. And then she found out, boom, she was pregnant.
Same time, the director of Josephine Baker and I were falling in love. we were just creating something that was the best married director and an actress can have. And we thought it would translate to marriage. So we left Budapest and went to London and got married. Rose quartz, carry the energy, the rose quartz energy, the open heart energy. So I was doing all that. I was kind of Christian. I was still, doing whatever it was. And he was Buddhist. He was one of those chanting people, which was so odd to me. He was like, "Yong ring gong king and then the gong and the bong." And there's a little spirit that wants to come in, and we should let them. I saw the spirit, and we should let her come in. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you crazy? I immediately got pregnant. I was just like so upset about all of this. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. My daughter Grace, she's amazing. I am so blessed. Sometimes we don't know, but God knows.
So she did explain that she was really heartbroken by that. She cried a lot because she was just like not ready for it. It was like the height of her career, and she wanted to enjoy her career a little bit more and get into many more projects that she would like. And she now looking back is like, wow, this has been the biggest and best blessing to my life. But at the time, it seemed like the worst thing that could possibly happen to her. And unfortunately, like we stated, they did get divorced. But after the divorce, she was so, sad, down and out. While her husband had her daughter, for some time, she went looking for some kind of healing, like, doing soul searching, and then found a church and went in the church and was embraced by the first lady there. Ironically enough, she said in an interview that the first lady, because we know she plays Lady May in Greenleaf, right? The popular show Greenleaf. But the first lady at the church that she's been a member of for 25 plus years is also named May. And this first lady was the one that shepherded her and welcomed her into the church. And the church helped her through her divorce, helped guide her through it, and received her with open arms and with love. And it's just ironic that the first lady at her church is called May, and now she got to play first lady in Greenleaf, Lady May.
I said, okay, well, I think I better just go back to this God thing. I need some help here. So I started going to church, and I drove myself to the church. I opened the side door to this church, and there was nowhere to sit. I felt like Mary and Joseph, like no room at the damn inn. And the first lady of the church saw me. Lynn, come in here, girl. I have a seat for you. Come on. And that was the beginning of me starting to really find out what grace is. Everything that I thought I understood, everything that I thought I knew to do right, how to have peace, how to know that everything will work out. I didn't believe that anymore. It's called faith. I had none. Didn't really have that personal relationship. Okay, God, you got my back. And I have that now. And that's probably the most authentic part of me at this point in my life.
Now, another thing that she spoke about a lot, which I agree with because we spoke about this several times already through other breakdowns we've done about ageism in Hollywood and how much she hates playing the roles of someone's mother or grandmother, right? So let's talk about it, because how we know Lynn Whitfield, she's been playing someone's mother or grandmother ever since. Most of her roles, that's what they are. They're very iconic, okay? She plays really iconic roles. She always played a maternal figure, okay? So she says she don't really like that. She, I mean, of course, don't mind it. You're booked and busy or whatever, but she wants to play characters that are, like she says, she want to play a variety of different characters, women that have lives, maybe a romantic comedy one day or whatever, and she doesn't like how older women are kind of pigeonholed into specific roles, whereas you'll have like Denzel Washington or Samuel L. Jackson, whenever they play a role, their love interest is always super young. They get younger and younger though they get older, and they still actively have lovers and this and that and have lives. You'll see Denzel Washington in his old age right now still playing action hero figures. So Samuel L. Jackson too, they're still doing stunts and stuff like that. It's just like, but women, they tend to just be on the couch praying, my baby don't go to jail or something. She's hilarious.
Hollywood loves to put you in a role they know you do well. They see me as like the fabulous bitch you love to hate, but are pulling for.
you know, you love her, but you hate her and you don't understand her. I want to do other stuff though.
How did you transition into the mama and grandma roles? Was it ever a pushback on your part? Like, I'm still popping out here.
What the hell? This is just so annoying.
That's the second time you did this, Charlamagne.
Because Hollywood, there's so much ageism in Hollywood. You know what I mean? And they look at a number and then they want to give you like big ass grandkids and all of that. With men, all that happens is that the women get younger, who are their love interests. What happens with women is that you have no life. You only have grandchildren and, you know, cook food and cry if somebody gets put in jail or whatever it is. You know what I mean? All of the stereotypes. And it was the big mama on the couch thing. You know, the one who's like, oh, Lord, please don't put my son in jail. Lord, Jesus, let him, Lord, pray.
It's ridiculous.
No, but honestly, look, you know, it's not.
You don't got nothing to prove to nobody in here.
Well, would you tell them? I mean, it's still like, would you please not try to put me in that box, right?
Especially when you got Sylvester Stallone out here working out for Rambo movies. Like, who believes that? Is it hard to disconnect from like all the mean characters you play?
No, it's so
I've seen
easy.
a little bit of, I've seen a little bit of it throughout this whole interview. It goes in and out.
Yes, I kind of agree with her, but she does play her role really well, but she never plays like the feeble mother, okay? She never plays the feeble grandmother either. She always plays, you know, like they like to say, we'll talk about that in her influence, but she never plays that either. So her roles are pretty iconic. But recently she was on a show called The Shy. She was with a younger man on there named Shad. So she got to play a character that was with a younger man on that place that's called Shad. And Shad played younger Michael Jackson in the Michael Jackson movie. A lot of people, you know, were a little disturbed by it. I'm not going to obviously show any of the scenes, but, you know, they were kissing and stuff like that. And she made jokes saying that, you know, especially since she's recently divorced, that, hey, she might think about dating younger as well and live out her own fantasies of dating younger because of, you know, the character Alicia that she played on The Shy got to explore.
You are living every seasoned woman's dreams with this young lover. How has that been, Miss Whitfield?
I'm living my own dream through Alicia. So, you know, I'm thinking, well, maybe I should try it. Lynn Whitfield.
So it looks like they heard her in the interview and they've been, you know, opening those opportunities for her roles. But now lastly, I do want to talk about her influence in pop culture and how she made it more popular to portray glamorous, rich women who were well-rounded in film. There's a quote that people like to say, right? They say, Lynn Whitfield may play evil, but she will never play broke. Okay, it has changed how women of color is represented on screen. She reminds me a lot of Diane Carroll, the regal, you know, elegance of it all. And she really does get on screen. She'll play evil, but she won't play broke. She plays a villain really, really well, right? But she will not, for you, play broke. She's always playing a wealthy woman, a very well-groomed, put together, every hair in place, you know, and she plays it so well because of the way she carries herself. And that has a lot to do with her growing up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, around a lot of affluent women. And she's kind of made it really glamorous to be the posh and well-groomed, worldly type of woman that during those days, especially, you know, those interracial days, it wasn't too popular for women of color to be seen like that on TV. She wasn't playing roles that, though, you know, evil, villainous roles, it also showed for the wealthy upper class. It showed that there is a wealthy upper class community or demographic that are people of color as well. So that has helped a lot with, like, now you see the Tyler Perry movies and other TV shows. They have piggybacked on that as well, to where now we see a lot of movies where the characters are not in the hood, selling dope, fighting for their lives, in jail all the time. No, they have complex issues that the wealthy goes through, and manipulation and all those things that you'll see in other films. She kind of really helped usher that in, even with her and Martin and A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, which is everybody's one of everybody's favorite movies from her. She still played rich even in that. And she was younger, and she was 40 years old in that movie. She also reminds me of Lena Horne with that, because Lena Horne, till her very last breath, remained elegant, very well put together, groomed, very classy. I did a video for Lena Horne as well. You guys might want to check that. Also reminds me of Cicely Tyson and Josephine Baker, which I did videos for all those women also. I'll put them in the end screen, in the end cards, and then also in the end screen for you to check out. But it's just group of women that just age very beautifully, and she's very witty as well. Lynn Whitfield is hilarious. I love her Breakfast Club interviews. It shows a lot of her personality and character. She's very witty, quick on her feet. Make those very, sharp and youthful. She's very, very youthful. That's something that has changed the culture and changed the image of women of color in society. That's how she has impacted the culture, and that's her contribution to the influence of the culture.
How did you get around that just being beautiful and perfect?
Because nothing is ever that simple. People who end up being criticized or ostracized or betrayed because they strive to those high ideals of, some kind of perfection, usually are driven by something. When you're with somebody moment by moment, human beings are just interesting. And if you hang in there, you see much more of a person. Because people are never just what they're saying out of their mouth. It always is more to them than that. It's perhaps what they don't say and what they're feeling, how they're being impacted by something that's going on across the room. And that's just the human experience, So
You're originally from Baton Rouge.
Yes, I embody certain qualities, I think, naturally. As they say, you're from Dallas, raised by Southern women.
Not long after Whitfield and her second husband parted ways, Gibson passed in 1994 at the age of 59, despite his lengthy fight with bone cancer. It was unwelcome news for the actress. She had left as a single mother while pursuing a career that appeared to be on the slide. However, as a single mother, the actress had succeeded in raising her daughter. Grace Gibson was now 29 and fully grown, is following in her mother's footsteps. She is a singer and dancer by profession, but she has also dabbled in acting and is doing rather well. In addition to honors, Whitfield has amassed a great deal of money and fortune. With a height of 5 feet and 5 inches, the American film producer is a name to be reckoned with in the industry. She has not refrained from performing even in her late 60s, and she looks good doing it. Though she made an appearance as Josephine Baker in the hit TV show The Resident as a guest star in 2019, with a 4-decade acting career under her sleeve, Whitfield has acted as a role model for budding artists all around the world. Her great family, as well as her hard work and dedication, have helped her achieve superstar status. Let's talk about her beauty secrets. So the notable actress believes in the power of sunscreen and full body exfoliation, and she frequents Korean beauty spas religiously to ensure that her skin stays flawless and hydrated. She basically had the same face since she was young. Her face has just been the same. And she's been quoted with saying, "I learned to exfoliate all the time at the Korean beauty spas. What becomes bad skin, sunspots, wrinkles, and all that is dead skin piling up. But if you continue to exfoliate, it's really good for you because it gets the toxins out and keeps all the damaged skin away. Exfoliate and sunscreen." And she also does a full body exfoliation where they put on the glove and they scrub her down and do all of that too. She really believes in that because her skin is so bright without barely any sunspots or wrinkles or anything like that. And she just keeps herself very well to do. There hasn't been much on the internet in terms of her intimate life. She has remained mysterious for the most part and private, and you're not really going to find much on her. Even her dating life, since her last husband, you haven't found or heard much of who she's dating. For the most part, she just seems to be focused on her work, and she's still making that bread, still getting deals. She is booked and busy. There was not even enough documentaries or videos, barely none here on YouTube to say on Lynn Whitfield. And online, I ask you guys, go research her. You're not really going to find much unless you really go through and watch every interview like I did. You're really not going to find much. And I'm always happy when I break down a woman or a man and it's like that. Because I feel celebrities overshare, and there's always so much you can find on celebrities that is so rare to do a breakdown for someone where there's barely anything. But what I like about her the most is just how she carries herself. And this woman just screams wealth, luxury, and just she knows that she is it. She is that girl. Comment below, who else would you guys like to see me break down? I love you guys. Until next time.